Good evening. Tonight, I am going to go over five of the top treasure stories, lost treasure stories in Pennsylvania. I try to keep it in southern Pennsylvania, but a lot of them go all over Pennsylvania. Or the five that I've done pretty much hit everywhere in Pennsylvania. Over my course of, I don't know, 8 months, around 8 months that I've been in Pennsylvania, I've done a lot of research for metal detecting, and I've found a lot of stories about treasure because I love treasure. I've always loved treasure. I love stories about finding treasure, pirates, treasure hunting. I love it all. I love all the stories about treasure hunting. But that is going to be the video tonight. I hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe, like. If you don't like, that's cool. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. All right, let's do this. Our first treasure story, and it involves a conspiracy. Most people know it as the Confederate gold wagon or train. This involves, and I can't bring up treasure in Pennsylvania without actually talking about this. It would just be wrong. But this happened, or this is said to happen, the story goes, after Gettysburg, the Confederate forces were running. Like they were going south, getting away from Gettysburg, getting out of Pennsylvania. And they had a wagon train of gold with them. It was too heavy, so they had to bury it because they didn't want the Union to get a hold of it. So they buried it somewhere in Pennsylvania. It's been on the news multiple times, or at History News multiple times. There was a couple of treasure hunters who thought they had it, and then the FBI took it over, took the investigation over, which I'm not going to get into that. But it's a cool story. It's also known as the gold or treasure of the Knights of the Golden, the Knights of the Golden Circle, which was around before, during, and after the Civil War. A very secret society that was based started off in Texas and grew from all the southern states, Midwestern states, and there's some rumors of Canada and Michigan. But there were a lot of them in southern Pennsylvania. And it's just crazy to me that they were in this area. Like I said, it was a secret order, a southern order, a secret southern order. Their objective was to make a confederation of slaveholding states out of the southern states, Mexico, South America, and the West Indies. Multiple other ones, but that was their goal. That was their objective. And of course, during the Civil War, because they did believe in slavery, they went with the South. They went with the Confederates. There's actually a book called, I have to look and check, make sure I'm getting this information right, A History of Secession from 1834 to 1866. I bring this up, and this is the conspiracy part. One of the parts, multiple conspiracies with this organization, is that it is theory that they were part of a piece of the Freemasons back then. And in the book, it states, it doesn't directly state it, but it tells about some of the order's degrees and trials and traditions that are equal or match Freemasonry. And it's not a far reach to say that Freemasons were split during that time. It was a civil war. Some of them had beliefs with the South, the Confederates, and some of them had beliefs in the North. It's just a cool theory, especially in Pennsylvania, because it's especially in Chambersburg, because Chambersburg is right next to the Mason-Dixon line. It's just really cool. It's a cool theory. So some of the famous members of this organization. It's proven that John Wilkes Booth was a member, and the the plot to kill Lincoln. All those members were also members of this organization. But it's John Wilkes Booth is a known member, as well as Samuel Mudd, the doctor who fixed his leg, or I don't know if he fixed it, but helped him with his leg after the assassination. Jesse James, not really proven to be a part of the organization, but he definitely has ties. Contrell, I hope I'm saying that right, from Contrell's Raiders, he definitely was a part of the organization. His Raiders, not so much. And I think Jesse James at one time rode with those Raiders during the Civil War. I don't know if that was the same Raiders, but I'm pretty sure it was. But that's to me is the most interesting, conspiracy, treasure, and gold. It's just amazing. Like the organization had multiple spies in the Union Army and in Washington, up north, everywhere. Had agents everywhere, and that's a proven fact. So it's a crazy bit of history to me. I love conspiracies. I love secret organizations. It's just cool. It's cool. I enjoy that stuff. Our next one is The Treasure of David Robert Lewis. Not Robert Lewis. I've done this one before. I went to the cave, and it's just cool. It's in Carlisle. He was a highwayman, he was a robber, pretty much. He was a counterfeit turned thief back in the early 1800s. Really the Robin Hood of America, I would call him. The Robin Hood of America. A whole bunch of stories. He became a legend because the papers pretty much wrote about it. And it was the cartoons of the time, the hero of the day, and which there's some articles where he wasn't, or some research where he wasn't much of a hero. He was just a thief stealing stuff. But yeah, it's a good tale. A lot of good little stories and myths about him. But if there's different caves. All along, I'm not going to say this creek or river because I always pronounce it wrong. Like my mouth cannot form the word, the name of this creek, so I'll put it in here when I edit it. But yeah, Carlisle. I went to the cave in Carlisle, and maybe hopefully I can find that picture that I took of the cave. Definitely put that in there too. But it's just a cool story. There's caves all over that were supposedly the caves that he used to hide his treasure. The one in Carlisle is one he used when he was younger, because he escaped from Carlisle Army Barracks because he was a deserter, and he hid out in the cave. All right, next one. And our next one is Captain Blackbeard. It's his lost treasure. It's not the Blackbeard. It's not Edward Teach. He was a British sea captain around the War of 1812. He was in the Bahamas, and there was a sea wreck, another shipwreck that had a whole bunch of gold, and he salvaged that gold, bunch of gold bars, and his plan was to sail from the Bahamas to Maryland, and then or Baltimore, and then to England. That didn't happen because it was right around the War of 1812. A French privateer attacked the ship. Instead of losing his ship at sea, he decided to head towards land, and it didn't go well for him because he loaded the treasure on wagons and tried to get through the Pennsylvania terrain, which is rugged and mountainous in some areas, and it didn't work for him. So he buried the treasure, survived, because he was trying to get up to Canada, to British-held Canada, or a British fort somewhere with the gold, and it didn't work out, so he had to bury the treasure. But he survived. He never found the gold. Like, he never did not find the gold. All right, this is our next one. Our next one is Doan's Gang Loot. The Wandering Woodsman did a amazing episode or video on this. He showed the cave and stuff like that. Very well done. So the story goes, it was during the Revolutionary War. It was a band of loyalists, or they were loyal to the Redcoats, the British, who robbed, spied, and stole horses. And they stole it from the locals. There's actually a trial, not a trial, but the local law enforcement officials put out a bounty for them. Which they were all hunted down, but I have to look just to make sure. They used caves along the Delaware River on the outskirts of colonial era Philadelphia. It's just a cool story, especially I love revolutionary stuff, Revolutionary War, colonial stuff. I love it. So it's just a tale, and I'm sure there's more to the tale, but I just love it. I love the story. Next. So our final treasure story is the Laurel Run Payroll heist. A bandit in 1888-ish held up the payroll of the Laurel Mill, supposedly buried it, and he supposedly buried it in a tin around Laurel Run Mountain Creek. The bandit was caught. I forgot his name, but he was caught and put in prison, or put to death, or he died, or something like that, to the point where he didn't tell us where his treasure was. So yeah, it's buried in a tin somewhere around there. Go get your metal detectors and check that out. I love treasure stories. I had to make this short and simple because I got to go to bed, and I got to go do the adult thing and go to work tomorrow, and make money. But I had fun. I had fun with the research. I wanted to thank you all for joining me. If you watched this fully, subscribing if you subscribed, liking if you liked. This is fun to me. I love doing this stuff. I love having a YouTube channel. I love having subscribers. I hope you all have a good night. Mainly dig out.